excellent question. This one is, when do you use the law of sines, the law of cosines? I don't know. Let's think about this. Perhaps we have a triangle, and we get a you know what? It doesn't matter what kind of triangle we have. Suppose I write down some version of the law of sines. So sine alpha over A equals sine of beta over B. So if I had this, I was trying to use this, and if I have alpha and beta and A, beta, oh my goodness, alpha, A, and B, and I'm trying to solve for beta, I can do that. I just might end up with two versions for beta. So anytime I'm using the law of sines and I have three things and two of them are sides, one of them's an angle, that's when I can possibly have two sets of answers for beta. But your question is, how do you know whether to use the law of sines or the law of cosines? And it really just depends. These are opposite each other, so you would have to have at least 3 out of the 4. If you have 3 out of the 4, then you can use the law of sines. Doesn't mean you can't use the law of cosines, but you definitely, if you have 3 out of the 4 things here, you can use the law of sines. Now for the law of cosines, there are 4 unknowns. There's A, B, C, B and C, and alpha, so that's 4 unknowns. If you have 3 of them, then you can use the law of cosines. It doesn't mean you can't use the law of sines anymore. It just means you could use either or. It just so happens that in the law of cosines, if you already have this angle, then you need to know 2 of the sides. At least 2 of the sides. And depending on your situation, if you have this angle, then you don't need to have this side. You can use B and C. But say you don't have this angle and you don't have this side A, then you can't use the law of sines. The law of cosines, because you need 3 out of the 4 unknowns, which is alpha, B, C, and A. And if you don't know C or if you don't know B, then you can't use this version of the law of cosines. You'd have to use some other version or revert back to using the law of sines. So the specific yet unspecific answer to the question, how do I know when to solve the triangle using the law of sines or the law of cosines? You really just have to try whichever. You can think about what you have, and if you want to try the law of sines, know that you have to have 3 out of the 4 unknowns, and if you try to use the law of cosines, you have to have 3 out of the 4 unknowns. It just turns out some ways you can't use this because you're missing C, and if you're missing C, then it's going to be, you'd have to factor out stuff and you solve a quadratic, and that's not pretty. So that's when you would have to use the law of sines. I don't know if that's any more helpful, but good luck. I'll try. If you have an example, well, yeah, you can ask me, I guess.